And all right, good. We are live with Samantha Fung. And so I'm on holiday. I don't have my pop 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 my sound effects. But y'all, Sam, welcome back to Coffee
Thank you.
and
Yeah.
Conversations with Champions. You know you're responsible for this, right? Like a lot of this is your fault.
Sure, I'll take it. Why not?
No, absolutely epic because you and Pam were hugely instrumental in us getting started in Sun City all of those years
Yeah.
ago. Hey, do you remember that?
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was sitting in the chair there in the back of the venue.
Yep. And you brought us, but you brought us so many lifters, and because of what you did, like I've forgotten their names, or they're going to kill me. The really big father and son.
Oh, Terry.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah, and his son. Yeah.
and I think when people saw Terry on, they were like, okay, cool, we can go and do this. So
Yeah.
when we chatted off air, you said you've been really busy. Give us a little bit of a
Yeah.
rundown on what's happening. And while I'm going to do that, I'm going to start the spotlights in the background swirling around. Can you see that? Like getting ready on the stage curtains. All right, cool. Sam, the
Yes.
floor is yours. What have you been up to?
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, I've just kind of been a little bit more on the admin side now of powerlifting. Still competing, but it's just basically hosting meets now, being a meet director. I'm on the board as the treasurer, so lots going on there. But we just closed, so I'm hosting provincials for Alberta
Mm,
this year,
right.
along with three other people. And we just closed our registration last night.
Wow.
We have a total of 268 registrations, all of which have been confirmed. So now is the time to piece together a schedule, so that they know when they're lifting, as well as getting volunteer schedule out so that I can people can sign up for that. So a lot of things on the go for sure. I hosted two other local meets earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
So local meets now are, for me, I think I've gotten them down pat, so they're pretty easy, but provincials is sort of the bigger championship now. It's going to be across 3, 4 days, so that obviously that's a bigger and challenging project, but I mean, why not? I'll take it on. So, but yeah, in that general sense, and then obviously in the midst right now of bench worlds prep.
Mm-hmm.
So things are going good. So I'll be in Norway and I think what now it's 4 weeks
Okay. It's
or
four.
5 weeks.
Dude, yo,
It's
what's it?
coming up
The
fast.
13th of, I'm nearly putting my hair out. The 13th of May, right? Or
I think,
17th,
yeah, I think the 15th,
15th.
16th or
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, or the 8th, somewhere in the late teens, but so it's probably around 4 to 5 weeks now. So that's
Wow.
coming up really fast.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. And I think, but what's so cool is you getting the reason I'm looking off to the side, by the way, is that's where Instagram is on the iPad. So I can check the
Nice.
Instagram messages and the YouTube messages there. Just to chat about worlds before we go back and talk about your admin roles. um you're going again like Team Canada, and what
Yes.
it's kind of cool, it's like a lot of the same crew that I got to meet
Oh, yeah.
at Sun City, I think, and you guys have
Yeah.
become quite close since then.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of the we just kind of with Sun City, because you're in a resort and that's you don't really have much to go other than just exploring the resort itself.
And
But like
obviously
you
to
can't.
look, sorry to interrupt, to the pool to look at Brian's abs.
Yes, all of it, obviously. But yeah, I think because we were just sort of in one place and couldn't go anywhere, we just hung out with each other. It was not to say that we were forced to hang out with each other, but in that type of setting, you can't really go anywhere else, right? So, in that way, we kind of gotten close, and it's been great. Like Pam and Brian, like we have a little group chat together, and it's been motivating and encouraging. And even outside of powerlifting, we can just vent to each other about
Mm,
certain
mm.
things at work or other personal things in life, right? So it's good to have that, to have their friendship within powerlifting, but outside of powerlifting as well.
That's absolutely, absolutely awesome. And I suppose really that's what powerlifting is about, where you meet people, you've got this wonderful thing in common, and you can build friendships that last and grow and help you evolve in your personal life and as a lifter.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your prep for Worlds. How's it looking? Is there anything you can share, that you're expecting to do?
Prep is going good. We haven't officially started prep because for me, my when I peak for bench press, I peak in actually 4 weeks.
Okay,
So
wow.
this yeah, it's a fast peak block essentially. But we've done a lot of volume leading up to it. Things are feeling good. This coming week is like a pivot week, almost like a deload week, but it'll take a little bit of the pressure off and then I can kind of rest my body. And then next week we kind of ramp up with the bench press peak.
Hmm.
And hopefully everything goes well. Things are feeling good so far. The goal is to hit 100 kilos or more on officially on the platform.
Right.
So I hit 100 kilos in the gym at the end of 2024.
Okay.
I think like December 30 or 31 or something like that. And so now it's just trying to make that official on the platform. I moved up a weight class this year, only because with everything going on in this first 5, 6 months of this year, with hosting two local meets already, with hosting provincials basically a couple weeks after I get back from Norway, um, the idea of cutting and having that
Mm,
extra stressor um, it just I wasn't in for it. And I think that I would be more miserable than I am now if I was on a cut. So
100%.
we moved, yeah, so we moved up to 76, which I'm very comfortable at right now, and using the extra mass really to build the volume, to build the
Mm,
strength,
mm.
right? So things are going good. I mean, eventually maybe I'll cut back down to 69. But as of right now, I'm content with where I'm at. And we'll see how Norway goes. I mean, it'll be the first time in a 76 class, and it'll just sort of we'll take what we can get. I'm not, looking to obviously podium or anything because there's a lot of girls in that class that are really, really strong. But
Terrifyingly
it's just,
strong, huh?
yeah, just getting that experience and just having fun with it again. Norway will be my 20th competition overall. And I think after that, I'll be taking a break. Um, and so I think it's sort of just a good have fun, get more experience type meet
Mm.
um under the belt again and then we'll see what happens from there.
So, Sam, and there's so much I want to chat to you about. And we're so grateful that you were able to make the time because I know how busy you are. And Pam did threaten us to keep it short. So,
Yes.
so, but it's such a valid point that you make. And I think to talk to people who don't understand powerlifting so well, one of the wonderful, wonderful things about the sport is that we get to play in different weight categories. So if you say
Yes.
to a guy or a girl, you got to put on X amount more weight, most people will freak out. Most gym goers will freak out because we're all sort of wanting to try to be as lean as possible. For me, the thing that I loved with
100%.
yeah, yeah. Coming in at 83, I came in, I think, at 83s. Then I loved going to the 93s, and I'm loving the 105s. And then I'm debating 120s. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that and your feelings around sort of moving up weight categories and having that fun relationship with weight and the understanding it gives you a chance to compete in a different way within this amazing sport.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all, again, as they say, all a part of the process. I
Mm,
mean, you can't unless you're naturally, within a range of a weight class, things are going to be moving up and down no matter what throughout your life, right? Now that I'm getting older in a sense.
Didn't someone
My
have a
body,
birthday recently, by the way?
yes, yeah, about three
Happy
weeks ago.
birthday!
Thank you. But as your body ages and
Yeah.
stuff, things change, just everything about your body changes. And so you kind of have to just accept that when you're in this type of sport, whether it's, powerlifting or Olympic weightlifting or anything like that, where a lot of your performance is based also on your weight class,
Mm,
you have to kind of be open and accepting that it's okay to, cut down a weight class, or it's okay to gain one or two weight classes above. Um, we can't always, you know, body dysmorphia, insecurities, imposter syndrome. Like I obviously suffer from that too. But it's having that mindset of, you know what, like I only have one body in this lifetime. I'm going to treat it the best way that I can. And if the best way that I can treat it is to make sure that I'm eating properly and fueling myself, which helps gain muscle,
mm, mm,
which obviously increases the number on the scale, right? Like you can't always focus on what the number on the scale really says. It's all about the composition of that. You can be a very lean 120 kilo person with, 20%,
mm, mm.
15% body fat, but a lot of lean mass, right? So you kind of have to switch your mindset in this type of sport where if you want to progress and if you want to get stronger, you're gonna have to put on some weight, you're gonna have to put on some muscle, um, and kind of have that healthy relationship with food and understanding how food is fueling you to
Mm.
get to that point to get stronger. Like, don't be afraid of food. Food is a source of all energy for your body. And so I think for at least for me in the last few years, I've gotten to that point of having that better relationship with food and a healthier relationship with food and my body, to say, hey, like I only have one body in this lifetime. If I, want to eat this, I'm going to eat this, obviously within reason, but I'm, like I'm not going to restrict myself from enjoying my life because, social media says, oh, as this
Mhm.
type of woman, I should look like this, right? And I think just being in a sport that's all about strength based, you know, you it doesn't really matter how you look like. It's just the fact of if you keep going and not quitting and you have that support with you.
Sure. I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, Sam, it's just, I don't think I know of a better example than a healthy relationship with one's body than what you just said. I'm under pressure. I'm under stress. I'm not willing to put myself under more pressure to
Yeah.
to compete. So I'm going to move up a weight division. Okay, knowing that I'm not, don't feel like I'm going to podium. Never sell yourself short on that, by the way, because you never know what happens on the day. But
Yes.
it's such a healthy attitude, and it's where people really need to get. And I love it within the sports. Like, I love myself, I care about myself. I'm going to go up in weight, and it's got nothing to do with the fact, but that's where I need to be in order to look after myself and keep myself safe, given what I've taken
100%.
on. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I am right now, where with all of the different projects I have going on, um you know with powerlifting, but even outside of powerlifting and like with my own full-time job, it's a bit stressful right now just
Mm,
with the situation at work. And so knowing the landscape and situation circumstance that I'm in, why am I going to make it harder on myself if I want to cut down? Maybe, yeah, I am a little bit more competitive in the 69 weight class, but is it worth my mental health and suffering and being a really grumpy person for the next, 12, 14 weeks,
100%.
right? So it's sort of like trying to accept that, you know what, as much as I would love to compete at Worlds at 69, all the stuff that I have going on right now, I don't want to be in a position where I'm burning out and I literally just throw everything away out the
Mm, mm,
window because of this one thing that I want to do. I have to consider everything that's going on right now and how best to make sure that I'm still taking care of myself and my mental health and not burning out.
sure. I love that. And it means also you're respecting the stuff you're doing because
100%.
you're able to give it all to the comps, to the regionals, to the provincials, and let's chat about that now. But I applaud you on that attitude because it's something that we've worked so hard to do within our gym over nearly 2 decades. Because people come in, I want to lose weight. Why? It's up here. It's about getting to powerlifting and understanding the value of the weight. For me, it's like it's so much fun because I will one day potentially compete in the 120 plus.
Hmm.
So, for you, given everything that you are doing and what's going on, and I think for many people, that don't know Canadian lifting and haven't been to provincials, your provincials are like many countries' nationals and even
Yes.
international on certain levels. Can you tell
Yep.
us a little bit about what's been going on with that?
Yeah, so we have so there's four of us. So myself and three
Mm,
others are co-hosting or co-meet directing. And I wanted to make sure that I had a solid group of us to do so just so that on the day if anything happens, I'm not just the sole meet
mm,
director or it's not just me and another person, but at least there's sort of four of us that can handle like if there were situations that were happening simultaneously that each of us can pick our parts and stuff. But it's also good to sort of have I myself am not a creative person whatsoever. I'm very number based
mm.
and on the admin side of stuff versus doing a creative like theme or whatever, right? So having three other people to come together and sit down and think of like our theme ideas and being able to have them do that creative side of the project helps me a lot because if anything, I like pick just pink and purple as the theme, and that's the theme, that's the color. But we actually have a really good theme this year, which is
Yeah.
sort of like a comic superhero theme.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's been going well, and so the designs for the banners and um our best. So I don't know if, well, I mean, a little tidbit or um what we're doing for best lifter awards this year, instead of having like a trophy or anything like that that has been done previously, we're actually sort of doing like a little best lifter poster, like a superhero comic type
Oh,
poster to
wow.
sort of, yeah, go along with like if you think of comic books and those people that are really into comic books and collecting all that type of stuff, typically they'll collect the posters or like
Mm.
they'll collect the comic books and put them in a little slip or something to protect them, right? And so we kind of are drawing from that sense of giving them a little poster of, best male junior lifter or something like that, that has like a superhero on it, that type of thing. So,
Sure.
but it's coming along good. Like I said, there's four of us that with all of our different backgrounds and resources, and just different specialities, we've come together pretty well and really have something solid going on right now.
That is absolutely, absolutely phenomenal. I love it. What was the reasoning and the thought process behind this amazing creativity, wanting to change it up, make it as fun and as exciting for the athletes as possible?
I think what it was, um, well, first Pam kind of like helped us with the initial um design of it all.
Mm,
But I think I was talking to, I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking to someone and something about the quote of like Avengers Assemble
mm,
kind of
mm.
came up. we were talking about like it was myself and three other people that were being the meet directors of provincials. And I think that quote just kind of came up, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, why don't we do something like superhero type for our theme? Like, would that work? I mean, it's when we don't put in things like Marvel or DC or specifically name like Spider-Man or anything like that, there's not a lot of copyright on that, right? Because superheroes in a way is pretty generic when you
Mm,
just take a blank canvas kind of thing.
yeah,
So we kind of ran with it. And like I said, Pam kind of did the first design for us to kind of get us going in a direction. And
sure.
so yeah, I think kind of that. And it's kind of been different. Um it's something fun, it's something unique, it's something different, and I think it kind of plays with the personalities of us four, um, because we are a bit of a
Mm, mm,
younger group to sort of host a huge championship like this, that it kind of plays to that personality, I think.
right. Sure.
Yeah.
That's absolutely brilliant. And I think you are getting in a younger, there's a younger influx coming into the sport of powerlifting. But even
Yeah,
superheroes, old guys like me grew up with superheroes. And
100%. Yeah.
it's such a great idea, and I think it's wonderful to make it exciting for the lifters and to make them want to come through. Now, if I understand correctly, you almost run a first come, or you do a first come first entered thing for your entries, because there's a lot more lifters that are wanting to lift than there's slots available.
Yes. And so with our provincials, we don't have a cap on the number of
Mm,
entries. It's basically as long as you have a qualifying total achieved and it's validated, then you're accepted. And as long
mhm.
as you get the registration and payment in before the deadline, you should be good to go.
Awesome.
And so yeah, we have 268 registrants, and I believe out
Oh,
of that we have 48 bench only.
okay.
Like we have a huge bench only presence. So that'll be exciting, which I think about 5 to 7 of them are equipped benchers.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, so it'll be a really good bench only like presence. I think it's probably the biggest one that we've had
Hmm.
as far as I can remember.
Sure. So, what was it that made you want to get involved in the organization, to move from the role of athlete to event organizer? I mean, you're not leaving a lot in between. It's maybe it was like athlete and help with some spotting and loading, or athlete and hand out tags at the front door. Like into event organization, you're not cutting yourself any slack here, Sam.
No,
So yeah.
yeah.
What made you want to get involved? What was it about for you and for the sport?
I think for me, like if we went back, so like I started powerlifting in 2017. And for the first like 2, 3 years there, um, I was very new. I didn't realize or didn't understand um what the community of powerlifting meant, and just how I should get involved, and to give back.
Hmm.
Because when I first started, I'm kind of right now with being a meet director, I'm sort of filling in the roles of all the guys that were in that role when I first started, right?
Right.
And so in the first few years, I was just like a complete newbie. I was only there just for the lifting. I didn't understand how important it was to give back to the community. Not until kind of once I after COVID and powerlifting kind of started back up again, and I had started with my current coach right now, that we were just kind of chatting and seeing like, okay, like now that things are starting to come back up from COVID, what are the ways that we can get back into the community, right?
Mm,
And then the position of treasurer kind of came up for the board for election time. And I was like, you know what? Let's try it. I know nothing. I mean, I'm an accountant in real life,
mm,
but like
mm,
I know nothing about being on a board or what I'm supposed to do. But I'm like, hey, why not? Let's try. So got the position. And then I think from there, it just kind of now I realize and can see the other side of powerlifting and can realize, oh, hey, Edmond, like the city that I'm in right now, needs more meet directors to step up.
mm-hmm,
It needs more volunteers. It needs this. It needs this. And now I can see that other side because I'm on the board and can talk about these things with the other board members and hearing these issues that I'm like, oh, okay, well, I know nothing about meet directing, but I'm willing to learn. And so I kind of did that, I think 2023.
mm-hmm,
Um, in Edmonton, the city that I'm in, we have Grit Power Open, which is has been on for now about almost 10 years, I believe. And it's always in January. And the one meet director took a step back from kind of meet directing and more focused on roughing and other things in her life. And so the other meet director, Tim, was like, I need somebody to help me with this if anybody's
mm-hmm.
willing to. He was also on the board with me at that time. And I said, hey, I'll help. Like, teach me what to do and stuff like that. So I kind of interned under him for the meet, and I learned a lot of different things. There was a lot of admin work and just
Mm-hmm.
um a lot goes into it, right? So I learned a lot, and then I was like, you know what? I think I can continue on doing this because again, in Edmonton we there's only a handful of us, less than a handful of us really, that are meet directors. So there's me and Tim, and then my coach and I, Byron, he also and I are hosting another meet in the fall. And then the university, they have a powerlifting club,
Mm-hmm.
and every year they also host a meet in November. So between the three groups, that's kind of all there is in Edmonton right now. And so for me, I think it's just seeing that other side and being more on the admin side and realizing, hey, we need more meet directors. We need this to be filled. I kind of just stepped up to say, hey, I can do this, and kind of be that filler, and really step into that role and give the newer lifters that chance that I got when I first stepped in. Because with our meets, in total across Alberta, with Calgary having about six or about 3 to 4 meets a year, Edmonton
Mm-hmm.
about 3 meets a year. So we have about 6 to 7 meets in the total calendar year. And every meet itself fills out within minutes because we
Right.
have almost 600 membership, 600 people under our membership that everybody wants to do a meet, right? So for me, I think it's just I see the issue and knowing that I can kind of help to fix the issue, I'll step in and help out as much as I can.
Sure, that's phenomenal. And what is it giving you in terms of understanding the back end of powerlifting? You sort of mentioned where you're starting to see that other side. And then what is it giving you personally from being involved and seeing what comes from your hard work?
I think seeing it from the other side, just knowing that, there's a lot that goes into a meet. It's not just you as a lifter that shows up on the
Mm,
day, weighs in, eats your, eats your meal after weighs in, and then try to get out on the platform and go 9 for 9. It's so much more than that, like from getting all the registrations in to making a schedule that works and flows in terms of who you have registered and what age and weight classes there are, to getting the refs lined up for each session,
mm-hmm.
to setting up the venue and getting sponsors. And there's just so much that goes into it that the average lifter may not know about. I think like when I see it, during a meet, the hardest people that are working during a meet are the spotter loader crew.
Yeah.
They are working nonstop for at least 4 hours, 4.5 hours, depending on how big or long the session goes. But they are working hard to protect those lifters out there. And if you don't try to get back into the community and give back, you don't see that. And you might take that for an advantage, right? Where, something happens and now you're blaming the refs, you're blaming
Mhm.
the spotter loaders, you're blaming the score table for something that might have gone wrong with your lifts or the day or something like that as a lifter. But everybody's working hard to learn the scoring system, to learn how to spot and load properly, to make sure that everybody's safe. And I think for me, it is seeing how the new volunteers that show up at the end of their session, whether they're spotting and loading, whether they're a floater, whether they're, at the table,
Mhm.
they come up to me at the end of the day or at the end of their session and they're like, I had so much fun. Like, I want to do this again.
Awesome.
And then in turn, also seeing the lifters, whether they're new lifters to more experienced lifters, if they've been working hard on a goal and they nail that deadlift on that platform, you can just see how much joy it brings them, right? But also just in general, like everybody supports each other in this community. You could be, someone in the audience may not even understand what's going on, but if everybody in the crowd is sort of cheering on for somebody who's grinding out a squat,
Mhm.
they're also going to get behind this person. And they may not even know this person, which is great to see because it's just like they want to see you succeed, even though they don't know you.
Yeah. Sure. I love that. And I think also to touch on the spotters and loaders, co- I've been very fortunate to work with the South African team who are absolutely phenomenal and twice in Hong Kong and pushing really, really hard where the speed is incredible because not only are you
Mhm.
working really hard to keep the athletes safe, that's your job, and your fellow spotters and loaders safe. Because when you've got athletes that are
100.
dumping 350, 380 kilos, and you've got to
Yeah.
catch that weight in midair and get it back on without an interruption, you're also working to keep the competition going so the referees aren't fatigued,
Yes.
the athletes aren't getting cold. There's a huge amount. And I spoke just before we chatted to the chairperson of the KwaZulu Natal Provincial Powerlifting Federation. And we are just saying that guys need to understand what is going on into competitions and how hard it is, like where the other provinces maybe are wanting to host nationals but they don't have the equipment yet to provide a
Mhm.
decent warm-up area. So now in where we always have it each year, because there's 8 warm-up racks, from Sun City how great it was to have all of the warm-up
Oh,
racks. So all of these
it
small
was
things.
great.
Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, no, like the amount of warm-up
yeah.
racks was
It,
great.
it was, mate, and that takes money and time and effort to get it set up. And one of the things, I wanted to start this podcast to let people share their story in what they do. And what's been amazing is watching athletes like yourself, like Pam, like Brian, evolve into
Yeah.
the admin role and the comp organizer role. And I want people to understand, athletes and parents and whoever, to understand how much goes into putting on a competition. I know the sport well, Sam, but I promise you right now, no ways I'm going to organize a comp. I don't have
Yeah.
I don't have that skill set. It would be no, I don't even want to think about it. So it's important that people and our listeners understand how much goes into it. And I say that from the point that you got to show the referees kindness. You got to show the spotters and
Yes.
loaders that score table. They're running numbers, man. And sitting with poor Kartik at at Commonwealth and Masters, and guys are just throwing cards at him, and he's still putting the numbers in. But there's a sort of a scrawled athlete name. There's no lot number. There's no squat, bench, or deadlift written on it. It's just some sort of weird number. And we know some coaches do that in order, if the athlete doesn't get the lift, that they can then go and argue it. But just, fill out your scorecard, your next attempt card
100%.
correctly.
Yeah, and I think it's just in general, just at a competition, just show
Yeah.
respect to everybody involved, whether that's your competitor, to the announcer, to the referees and stuff like that. I mean, I get that it's frustrating if, you go out there and you do a squat and you think it's good, but something technically wasn't there and you got a
Mm,
red light. It doesn't call for you to yell at the referees or the score table or
mm,
the jury if there is a jury. You just have to approach them and be like, hey, what was it for?
absolutely.
And then take that and advice or suggestion and basically do better for next time.
Yeah.
It's some game day, you never know what happens. Training could be absolutely great, and then game day, something can happen and it could go all wrong. But at the end of the day, it's about respect for everybody on that platform, whether it's the organizers to referees to spotter loaders, because I mean, nobody deserves to get yelled at for something that isn't their fault.
And that they're volunteering for, right?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and I think that's something that I want to drill past, drill, and drum home or drill home, that people understand. You also mentioned uh, a jury. So I know South Africa's been working very hard on its referee development program, and big kudos to Andre and to Heather, our guys here that are running it, to Hani, where we're getting club comp referees, club refs, excuse me, provincial refs, national refs, and then international. And the guys are stepping up really well and doing it. How big a drive is there in Canada to get lifters to become referees? And is it something that's needed for a coach? If you want to coach at an international, national level, do you need to be a referee? Because it's a huge advantage to be a ref as a coach because
Yeah.
you understand a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can you
Mm,
like there's no shortage of needing refs across the
mm,
board, whether it's at the local provincial level to a regional national level. I think the more that we get, the better, just so that more people have that opportunity to again see the other side of it and knowing that, you as a lifter, you may know how to squat to depth, but from a judge's perspective, what are they looking at,
mhm.
right? And seeing like where is that squat line like what are they looking for? But I think yeah, our um technical committee and stuff like that, they're really good about talking to athletes that they believe are would do well in the chair. And I know that we just passed at the local competition I did at the end of March. A lifter had passed his provincial test, so he's got his ref for our provincial level. And I think it's becoming that we're seeing again in all aspects, sort of that next generation kind of stepping up to sort of that admin side,
Mm.
still being the lifter, but now they're expanding it to being like, hey, like I can meet direct, or hey,
Yeah.
I can ref now. And getting into that chair and getting those experiences because, time is moving on, and those that have been in the chair, have their tie or have, been in the sport for long, at this point they might be kind of easing their way out. So it's
Mm,
kind of
mm,
everything is kind of shifted. And I think it's just important that, you know, if if that's something that you want to do or look into, reach out to the board or to, the officiating chairman, and ask those questions. Be like, hey, I'm kind of interested in this. What does it entail? How do I go about getting it? Um, there, there is no, like it's okay to ask,
mm.
In the end, it's just you getting more information and then you can decide from there. But it's taking that first step to sort of like asking and inquiring about the different opportunities out there, like and what you think you can do.
Sure, absolutely. Great response there. Thank you, Sam. I think it would be a wonderful thing if even a provincial or a club comp could have a jury, because
Yes.
the I think South Africa took the approach that we're going to hold a very high standard even at provincial level, because it's got to start to prep the athletes for international level as early as possible. And then that does present other problems. What happens if you don't have 100% the right kit, but it's your first comp, and all of this stuff to try and accommodate people, but to set the bar quite high. In your time
Hmm.
in powerlifting, sort of the 8 odd years, 7 odd years that you've been doing this, have you seen the level improving, the standard improving?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, um, I think with the judges' calls and stuff like that, I think
Mm,
they're being more technical with their calls and making sure that, you know, you are squatting or benching or deadlifting to standard. But again, also, you kind of with IPF rules, right? There's
mm,
certain rules where it's kind of subjective. Like you just kind of have to, well, it's a little bit vague in the description.
mm,
So what does that mean? And I think it's just sort of having that conversation with the technical committee and them, coming together and being on the same page that, you know what, it's written this way,
mm,
which can be interpreted in XYZ. So, kind of reiterating that to all the groups of referees and stuff. But I think also the caliber of the lifters that are coming out now, the juniors and sub juniors, they're so strong.
how insane
Um,
are some of those numbers? You actually
insane to the point where they, as someone who's 18 years old, they're really competitive um at an open
at an
level that
open
they
level, yeah.
can, right? It's absolutely insane. But I think because the next, again, generation that's coming up is so strong, all the levels, all the judging, everything kind of has to match that. So we have to get to the point of making sure that we are putting on a meet with high standards, that we're judging correctly to the highest standard possible, because some of these youngers are getting to the point of going all the way to worlds and winning worlds and going even above and beyond that, possibly, maybe to world games, whatever it may be, that at these higher international competitions, there is little room for like to get away with things.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so at local level, we kind of have to make sure that we set them up for success. That, at a local level, if there something technically isn't there, we
Hmm.
give them that red light and then we let them or their coach know, hey, this is, what it should be, or that they just need a little bit more work on that or something, so that they are set up for success.
So,
Because again, when you
mm,
get to the world stage, it's like, that's it. If you get a red light, you get a red light. You can't really weasel your way out of that.
and you don't want to be screaming at the referees or the jury either.
Exactly, right? So yeah, I think with, especially with me being a meet director, I think
Mm,
I send more information out to the lifters than I really need to.
hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if you're a lifter, you should be doing the research on technical rules and approved equipment and stuff like that, and going over that with your coach, etc. But I, send them all the resources and stuff like that, because I, as a meet director, want to see you succeed as a lifter. So I'm trying to do my best to give you the amount of knowledge and information. What you do with that is all up to you. So I mean, if you read it and you do your research, great. But if not, that's
Hmm.
out of my hands. I've done what I can to help you succeed, right?
100%. And it's at its essence, at its core, it's actually training. That competition is
Yes.
training for so it's part of Team Canada training. You want to make the national team, you want to represent at the highest level and win. You start your training at club level, at provincial level. It's so cool. Love it. So, Sam, for your side, couple of fun things if we can. What are you looking forward to the most? Or three things. Let's go with three things here. Good.
Okay.
Not to put you under any more pressure, but what are the three fun things you're looking forward to for traveling to Norway for World Bench with your crew, with your guys?
Three things that I'm looking forward to. Food, obviously.
The salmon.
I yeah, just love food. So I'm gonna try to get a couple food tours
Mhm.
in Norway when I'm there.
Epic. Please post pics.
Um, yes, I will. And then obviously just hanging out with the group again that, are from other provinces, that I don't see often regularly. So getting a chance to meet up and hang out with them again and catch up. And then just having fun again and trying to see what I can do on the platform at this new weight class and seeing what I can push and how training goes leading up to that.
I think you're going to be kicking some butt. I know that for sure.
I
But
I hope so.
absolutely. Two more fun questions. What do you love the most about powerlifting? Doesn't have to be anything too serious.
What I love most, um, I think seeing my progress and just again that evolve, like me kind of evolving as a lifter into now an admin part of powerlifting and kind of seeing my growth from that, but also just seeing my progression in the sport itself.
Hmm.
Um, I so at this end, like fall of 2022, I strained my low back. So my last three lift meet was Nationals 2023.
Hmm.
And so since then, for the last couple of years now, we've kind of been taking it slow with squats and deadlifts, just to make sure that my back is doing okay. And recently, squats have been going very well. That I hit an all-time PR last week. So tomorrow we're maybe doing another all-time PR, pending how things feel. So seeing that progression again with three lift and hopefully eventually down the line I'll get back into a three lift competition.
Hmm.
But also I think, and I know this has been said a lot of times, but the community itself and just making those connections, and having those friendships and connections for life now, basically.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. If you could give anything to powerlifting or have anything happen in powerlifting, I suppose what I'm really asking is what would, if you could have a crazy dream for powerlifting, what would that be for the sport?
Oh, um,
I can see
I
the
think just
accountant gears turning.
Yeah, I think I just probably more recognition. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like we have a good basis for recognition, but we're still very niche.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we need to like if we want this sport to continue going, to continue expanding, we kind of need a bigger recognition. And I know like there's efforts to try to get into the Olympics and stuff like that, but I think it's more, you know, having different bigger sporting organizations out there recognize us as a sport,
Mm.
and trying to advertise that and kind of grow it in that sense. But also within powerlifting, I think um, there just needs to be like in the sense at for the women's at least, I think we can do well with more weight classes
Mm-hmm.
added, especially for the heavyweights. Um, but I mean, I have no control over that. But in my ideal dream world, I guess that there will be um, more weight classes
Mm.
and opportunities and for more people to come in, I guess, or I guess in a general sense, less barriers to entry.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's such a great point, that because what we've been seeing in the sport is a huge differential in the weights being lifted by
Yeah.
people in the top weight class, meaning that we need more weight classes to make the
We
lifting
do.
fair. And when I say fair, I don't mean that a 150 kilogram athlete is competing with an 85 kilogram athlete. Of course, there's a level that you will have to have fairness, but fairness to the 150 kilo athlete, that they feel they have competition. Because if you're
Correct.
150 and you're lifting with guys 5 kilos either side of you, or 15 kilos, then you say, okay, now I'm working. And I think that
Right.
within itself is a barrier to entry. That let's get the guys in and acknowledge them for what they're doing at that weight.
Yes. Yeah. And then it's just sort of like you said, it's, having that person that's on the heavier end of that heavyweights
Mm,
group to, have that competition and really go up against somebody that's within range of them, right?
yeah, because maybe you go
Yeah.
15 or 20 kilos, between 105 and 120. That's fine. But, I'm with you 100%, because what we're seeing here is a very heavy, super, super heavies are coming into the sport and competing, and they're healthy,
Mhm.
and they're fit, and they're strong, and they're capable, and they are athletes, and they
Yeah.
deserve
And
to be treated like athletes and given that opportunity.
absolutely. And like we have so many great super heavyweights
Mm,
out there, whether that's men or women. But again, it's like once you kind of enter into that group, if you're sort of on the lower end of it, you're not really seeing you're not really seeing that competition
yeah.
within a range for yourself.
Absolutely. And powerlifters understand that, and those George understand it, because it's, if you're 80, 85, or 121 as an example, and you're going up against someone who's 60 kilos heavier than you and lifting proportionately that weight, you don't stand a chance. And
No.
it's not fair for both ends of the
Yeah.
spectrum. So I hope it is something that's such a wonderful point, Sam. I absolutely love that. This is the first time I've asked this question, so I'm glad we got such a fantastic answer from it. You are creative. You're not just an accountant. Good lateral thinking. So yeah, there we go. 100%. Sam, from your side, and I know we've taken a lot of your time on a Sunday, and we're very grateful. Is there anything that you would like to share, just as we wrap up? Anything you'd like to talk about?
No, I think that's it. I mean, if anyone watching wants to take anything away from it, it's just more get involved with the community,
Mm,
give back, and learn that other side of it. Understand that there's a lot that goes into running a meet, and just know that, those people that are doing it are working their butts off for you
sure.
to
Yeah.
give you that opportunity to lift.
And for free. No
Yes,
one's
yes,
getting paid.
I don't get paid for
Th-
any of this.
Yeah, this is voluntary. You don't get
Yeah,
paid because you couldn't get paid enough. So,
exactly.
and,
Yeah,
and
the only pay that I get is just from my full-time job, that's
yeah,
it.
that's 100%. So, when Gary Vaynerchuk spoke about a side hustle, he meant like a paying side hustle, right? So, just
Yes,
you missed
yeah,
that
yeah,
point. So just the one thing sort of I'd like to wrap up with and finish on. And again, I love what you said about recognition. And I think far more important than getting powerlifting into the Olympics, because as far away as that is in the journey, the recognition is what is needed now. It's
yeah,
recognition, it's respect, it's value. It's a well organized, well run sport, whether it's IPF level, Commonwealth level, World Games level. All of this is happening, and the sport needs recognition, and the athletes,
100%.
yeah, and the athletes need support, and through recognition, I believe, will come more sponsorship, and that'll enable
Mhm.
more athletes to fulfill their dream. in any sport, athletes need sponsorship to be able to perform and give the public the joy and the hopes and the dreams and the inspiration that they get. And I know powerlifting can definitely do that. And if you don't believe it, you haven't been to a competition yet.
Yeah.
So absolutely cool. Sam, thank you for an absolutely wonderful show. I had a
Yeah.
blast.
Thank you for having me again.
My absolute pleasure. You're at Coffee and Conversations royalty. I mean, you guys were here at the very beginning, and you shared some incredible points, Sam. So thank you. We had a ton of views on Instagram, quite a few, and we got some thumbs up on YouTube. So really, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us, Sam. I really appreciate it. I'm
Absolutely.
I'm going to end the stream and then I'll just chat to you off air quickly. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
Cool. Bye.